Hey everyone, Daniel here from Twin Bytes with another quick tutorial for you. This time on a smartwatch that I got and I've been using for a little while now. It's a very inexpensive watch at about $50 and it works pretty well for the price of it. I've only had a little bit of trouble, which I'll share some of the detail with you on that, but I'm going to show you the features and what it's capable of doing and some of the problems and what's worked out. So it looks like the manufacturer is GRDE. This thing is not very clear on brand and all this. There's no online manual, their own website, everything. It just looks so cheap, but it works. This model is CS201, and there's some information on the back of the box. When we go into it here, there is a little card. In case if you needed some help, they provide you with a phone number, or not a phone number, but they give you an email address and a website link. And then there's a little manual, but it's really not much of a manual at all. It gives you a bunch of different languages and some basic information. So it gives you how to get started on it. And it's really very easy. You don't need to spend a lot of time reading instructions to get going. So let's have a look at the watch. Now there's also a magnetic adapter that will connect only one way on the watch. So if you turn it the wrong way, it automatically snaps into the watch, so it's set up correctly. And it just plugs into a regular USB port, either on your computer, it'll charge right from there, or if you have any USB charging port on a power bar or anything like that. So the watch itself, it works just like anything else, and you can see here I got a custom face on it. And this works as well by just pressing the button on the side. If you tap and hold briefly, it comes out with a check mark in the top right corner, meaning that we can now scroll through and see the different type of watch faces that they have. Now, it'll time out after a few seconds of not doing anything and go back to our default. So I'll just hit that, which is a lot easier. Now, if we scroll over to the left, we have a few different options. So if you're going for a run or a fast walk, swim, or any of these activities, you can select that and it puts it in that mode so that when you get a reading afterwards of your heart rate, you'll be able to identify that you were doing that activity. So that'll help you to show what it was you were doing that made your heart rate at that rate. If we continue to scroll over, we'll be able to see other options as well. So there's a heart rate monitor, and this monitors your heart rate constantly. But if you want to see currently what it's doing, you can click into here, and within a few seconds you can see what the heart rate is currently at. And mine is a little bit on the high side right now because this is my second take doing this video. I'll just scroll to get out of that. We can look at the heart health. It doesn't give you a reading on the heart health, but it just tells you that to turn it on or off, and it will give you information on your watch afterwards. So I'll just swipe out of that. We have something to look at the stress levels and the SpO2. The SpO2 is good to see your oxygen blood level. And it tells you more information about all of these things on the phone. The stress level, of course, it wants you to keep quiet and sit still. And it does take quite a bit longer than the SpO2 reading. So I'm going to fast forward this. And we can see my stress level currently, which is medium, even though it was low when I first started to do this video on the first take. We've got a few other options here. The messages will allow you to see any messages such as text messages, Facebook, WhatsApp, and others, whatever you allow it to show. Scientific sleep is something that also works only in the background on the watch and will display on your phone after when you synchronize it. So I would recommend turning that on if you're going to be wearing the watch to bed at night to monitor your sleep. Otherwise, leave it off because it'll drain the battery faster. There's a stopwatch, so you can use that, which is pretty cool for certain things. And there's an alarm if you want to set anything, but I don't have any set on here right now. There's a timer, which is a little bit different than the stopwatch if you just want to time something for a preset amount of time. If you're cooking or whatever, and if you're out in the world, you can have a compass going, and really it wants to just calibrate itself and see which way we're facing, and it does look like it's pretty accurate right now. There's other settings, which is nothing really other than changing the face of the watch, which we, I believe, already looked at, is making the changes there. The brightness level, which you can have set to automatic or manually change it. And the about, which just tells you the Bluetooth version and the version of the device that you're using currently. And that's pretty much it for the watch itself. So let's have a look at the phone. We got the Zeroner Health Pro, if I could pronounce that right. So as long as the Bluetooth is on, the phone is connected, it will start refreshing, as you can see at the very top, Synchronous data, and it gives you a percentage and how long it's going. And if you only just synchronized it, it won't take very long, but if you haven't synchronized it since the day before, then this whole synchronization process, I find, can take a couple of minutes to do here at best. But I just synchronized it just before doing this video, and it still seems to be taking a little bit longer because of some of the changes we were looking at. And while it's synchronizing, the good news is that you can open this, start the synchronization, and then close out, go into other apps, looking at other things, and then come back to it later and see that it's done. And when it's done, you won't see that refresh RRI progress or anything up there at the top with the percentage. You'll just see it saying data. And if it just says data, you know that it's finished synchronizing, and you can then close the app, and you're good until the next day you want to synchronize it. So while that's going, we don't need to continue watching it, but you'll see at the top we've got how many steps it's counting, and you can set your goal of how many you want to set, how many steps you want to achieve in a day. Also your calories burnt, how many you've burnt out of your goal, and how long you've been standing in the day as well, so you're not just sitting all the time. Now these we looked at before, the different sports activities. If you were running, cycling, speed walking, ball games, swimming, or other stuff, which it puts under free training. So I haven't been doing a lot with this, but whenever I remembered to do it, I put that on when I was dancing, and then I was able to see how long that I was doing that for and how many times that I remembered to turn it on for that. Now the sleep, this is great. This is showing me for last night, so you guys will be able to see how good of a sleep I had last night. It gives you the color codes here at the top as well, and it explains them, how long you were awake. 10% of the time is what is kind of expected. They got the averages, how long for deep sleep, light sleep, and REM, and that those colors there match what's up at the top. And you can also see it says awake, REM, light, and deep. Last night was horrible. I didn't have a very long deep sleep at all. I was up for some reason throughout the night. Now you've got the total sleep, how long I was actually recorded as being in bed, not necessarily asleep, but I was in bed that long. The deep sleep, only 1%. It's pretty pathetic. They tell you the reference that you ideally would be 10 to 40% in a deep sleep, and I was only 1%, so that's the worst deep sleep I ever had. The light sleep here is 79% at 6 hours and 7 minutes, and 79%, where the range is 45 to 80. So I'm right up at the high range, but it still counts it as normal. The REM counts it as low because it's only 10% when they're expecting to have 15. But for me, that's probably one of the best REM sleep that I've had ever. The awake time is 44 minutes. So you can also register how good of a sleep it was. You can select one of the smiley faces and any activities and status before bed. At the very top, we've got an option to go to today, and then we can choose another day from the calendar. So on this one here, we can see I got a lot more deep sleep because it's got the deep purple down there. And when we go through here, we can see normal through a lot of the stuff, including deep sleep. My REM is only at 9% and it's still low, but I find my REM sleep is always low. But this is actually one of the best sleeps I probably ever had, and the total sleep time was much less. So let's go back. Actually, in here as well, there's a couple of options, and if I can do this and go into edit, you can choose what time you actually went to sleep and when you got up, so that you can submit that for feedback about the actual time, which is kind of helpful for them to make improvements on this. When I was having problems with the sleep monitor, I told you one of the options was being able to change the awake time on the watch. And when I started messing around with that so it wouldn't wake up in the middle of the night and have the watch not light up, this stopped recording completely, so I wasn't able to see my sleep time. But here now it's been working perfectly fine for a very long time. But this is at one point, no, it wasn't there, it just took a little bit longer. But you can scroll through all the previous days and see how that is working. So that was our sleep data. If we go down here, we've got our heart rate. So you can see how it's been going, and as of the last time it synchronized. And in this view, it gives you a little bit more information, the average, the lowest, and the highest, with a nice little chart there. And if you scroll down a bit, it actually explains what the various heart rates would be, from a regular one, warm-up, fat burning, different type of exercise, all the way up to extreme, which is what got me to purchase this in the first place, because I actually had a problem where I ended up in the hospital because my heart rate, just for some reason, all of a sudden shot up to 195 beats per minute, and I passed out. So my buddy called the ambulance. I was in the hospital for a few days, and then now I got this watch so I can see. So I don't ever want to hit that 200 mark again. That's scary. But this is kind of nice to see. There's something else in here, even better, is the heart health. It says it's normal. If we click into it, or tap into it because it's a phone, it gives you a nice little scatter plot, and you can go back to the previous days to see what it is. But if you don't understand what a scatter plot is, there is a question mark here for a scatter plot. And then it tells you what the different ones are. So you can actually scroll through this list and see which one matches for you, and it explains what it is. And if anything, if you have something other than a normal one, you might want to look into it a bit more and possibly even go to your doctor. And they even tell you that this is not to be confused with medical advice. You can take this as a warning and take it to the doctor and show them what you're getting, and then they'll run their own professional tests on you to confirm if you have any problem. But this at least will give you an idea. So if you have anything other than normal, then just go and see your doctor. You can go into today again and choose your calendar the last time you had it, and it'll tell you how you were then. And we've got our stress level. It tells you the last time it's synchronized. And if you've been doing the check on your system constantly, every day, consistently, you can see today I had 3 different tests that I did. So earlier when I first started, it was at 30, and that's more in the normal range, which you can see down here. Then I was at 65 medium, and then 69, and when I just did this other test, it went up to yeah, it was 69 then, so it was a lot higher. So you can see on which days you did the scan. So you can see I did one yesterday, but I haven't scanned or done a stress test since August 25th before that, so it's been a few days. You also had the blood oxygen level that I showed you on the watch when I ran that. You can go in here and see what it is. Today you can see that I ran it twice. And you can go to the previous days and you can see that I don't really have anything on there. I have not done this every day. But here it's showing correct. 2 different readings, and actually 3 different readings at the 3 different times. And of course it gives you your average, lowest, and highest. And that's most of the information there to tell you everything that your watch has been recording. Under the device tab at the bottom, this is where you'll see how much battery you got left as long as it's connected. It gives you the model number of the watch and a few different options that you can change. You can go in here to change the dial from the default to something custom. So then you can go in here, upload a photo, whatever you like, such as your company logo if you wanted to use that, and or just any picture at all that you want, family photo, whatever. You can set alarm schedules. I've got something here to remind me to get up at 5:15 every morning. So my alarm goes off 5 in the morning, but if I hit snooze one too many times, my watch will start buzzing at 5:15. So kind of hard to not feel that little buzz waking up in the morning. Sedentary reminder. If you're sitting down too long, this will remind you to get up and do something. There isn't a lot of options in here. I don't even have this turned on, but when you do turn it on, the only option seems to be for a lunch break, and it doesn't seem to give the option to add anything else. Smart reminders. You can also set what devices will have access to your watch. So you can have, anytime you get a text message or a message from different apps, including even emails. So I've stopped receiving emails to my watch because that was just annoying. Every single time I get an email, which is every few minutes it seems, between one of my multiple email addresses, that is just way too annoying. So if my watch buzzes, I know it's not an email. It's actually a message that someone is trying to send me, and that's usually just personal. I don't receive business messages through any of these methods. It's only personal. So it helps me to identify if it's a personal message coming through or not. That's how I use it. You can use it any way you want. Now through here, there's a bunch of other options, and they're pretty self-explanatory. You can go through changing if you want to give access to your camera for the watch, and you can set your preferred time and date format, how you want to record units of measure, changing your language, and even the palm gesture. That's where I ended up having problems initially when I started to tell it not to pay attention during the night for palm gesturing. So if I flick my wrist, it's not going to light up and wake me up with the bright light. Then it stopped recording the sleep data. But since I found a way to change that and get it to work, and I had to keep fixing it constantly, and every other day it would work, but they had a device update and it's been working every day since then. And the bright screen time, you can change it from the default for how long you want the watch to stay lit up once you do wake it up. And there's also a do not disturb time, so it won't disturb you of any messages coming through or anything like that. And you can set the heart rate on or off, heart guidance as well if you don't want to be alerted within a certain range. If you're left-handed or right-handed, which wrist are you wearing the watch on? And you've got the auto recognition motion. And the last thing here is the firmware upgrade. You can see what the current version of the firmware is, 6.0.0.49 as of the making of this video, and that is working. So you can go in here and see if it's not up to date, click it, otherwise it tells you that it's just there is no updates available to it. The profile at the bottom, it's really not a lot of stuff in here. I haven't really gone through this at all. You can set your goal setting and choose what is the number of steps that you want to set for every day. I lowered my right down from the suggested because I'm not getting around that much. You can set your weight so it can track that as well and make suggestions based on that. You've also got a guide which you have to choose what your watch is. And if you got the same model there, I believe here is number 6, it basically shows you the instruction manual that you already have in print. Help. This gives you a bunch of different pre-set questions that you can go into and find out more information about. There's a link which will link to a couple other products. You've got settings, and this is where you can also change your unit of measure and other information on here. And you've got permission settings, which is important for certain things that won't work unless you go in here and enable that, or if you don't want some of these things to be working, then you can go in and turn them off. And that's all the settings in there. The most interesting thing is dealing with the main interface here. As long as you're wearing the watch as much as possible, it's going to be giving you the most information here to track. And setting what activity you're doing, you'll be able to see what you were doing at that time. And if you do wear it to bed, the sleep data is very helpful information to know. And just seeing your heart health, that is probably so critical here for everyone. It's just seeing how your heart is doing. And you don't have to be paranoid about it, looking at it every minute throughout the day, but you just track it, hit the button to have it synchronize each day, and it'll give you a history that you can go back. And if anything ever comes up that you need to go and see the doctor, you can just take your phone and show them your app, and it has the history of everything. So anyway, that's it for this video tutorial, and I hope you guys found this helpful. If you do want to buy this watch, if you're interested in it, then I'll have the link below in the description, and you can add your own special logo to it. So give this video a thumbs up if you found it helpful, subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Alright, thanks so much. Bye for now.